Hello, everyone. My name is Lisely and I'm the Children's Librarian at the Alachua County Library District Tower Road branch. Did you know that April is National Poetry Month? Well, it is. In fact, April 2021 is the 25th annual National Poetry Month. Today, I want to encourage you to celebrate National Poetry Month by writing some of your own poetry. I'll be showing you 3 creative ways how to do it. 1. Using acrostic poetry, 2. Blackout poetry, and 3. Found poetry. Let's get started.
An acrostic poem is a poem in which the first letter or word of each line spells out a word or message. Generally, all the lines of the poem relate to or describe the main topic. These poems can be one word for each letter, whole sentences, or anywhere in between. These poems are easy to create because by choosing a word or name, you've already given yourself a starting point for each line and a topic. Let's say I wanted to write a poem about my dog, Alexa. I chose to use her name as the basis of the acrostic. Take a look. You can see the first letter of each line spells her name going down vertically. Now you can really get creative with these too. Some acrostics pick and highlight a letter in a different position to form the topic. This poem about poems is a creative acrostic. Here, the word poem is spelled in the letters in the middle of each line. Other creative acrostics use whole words or phrases as the topic. This acrostic about birthdays might make a lovely greeting card. Next, let's talk about blackout poetry. Blackout poetry is when a line of pre-written text is completely blacked out, except for a select few words. When only these words can be seen, a new poem emerges from the words that were already there. These are some examples of what blackout poetry looks like. You can see that sometimes the words are just simply blacked out, while other times people build designs or illustrations into the blackout. To create your own blackout poetry, all you'll need is text. This can be pages from an old book or copies of the pages of a book, a magazine, or even newspapers, a pencil, scrap paper, and a dark colored marker. First, I like to start off by skimming the text I'd like to black out and just lightly underlining in pencil words I like or words that stand out to me. Then I write out those words on a scrap piece of paper and decide what I want to use to build my poem, and see where I might need to find some connecting words, a, and, the, its, in the text to use as well. Next, I use my marker on the text to circle or box in the final poem. And finally, I go to work blocking out the rest of the text. You can be as creative or simple in doing this as you like. If you're going to get creative, you might want to sketch out your other elements before you black everything in. This was my final blackout poem. It's about turning into a zombie, and I'm super proud of it. Finally, I've got a much less formal way to try your hand at making poetry that uses the idea of found poetry. Found poetry is when a poem is made by taking words from other sources and reframing them, almost like making a word collage, to create something new. A fun way to write found poetry is by playing a poetry game with your friends or family. You'll only need paper, pens or pencils, and your friends and or family. You start by giving each person 5 to 10 small pieces of paper. Have each person write one word, any word they want, on each piece of paper. Don't talk about or look at each other's words yet. Then take all the words back and mix them up and randomly lay them out so everyone can see every word. Then set a timer for 5 minutes and see who can make the best, funniest, or most creative poem from all your random words. There's no rules about the poems, and you can add connecting words if you like. Just have fun. These are the words my coworkers and I came up with. You can see there's quite a mix, and they don't really seem related at all. And these are some of the poems we made. This game is always so much fun. You end up with some hilarious poems, but sometimes you get really pretty ones too.
Well, that's it. I hope you've had fun trying out these new and creative ways to write your own poetry and celebrate National Poetry Month. I hope you try your hand at some of these methods, and if you do, make sure you post them online with hashtag National Poetry Month, and make sure you tag us too at Alachua Library on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. See you later!